maybe some resilience at home. Friday night then, our Sky game, our sole Friday night game as well. 7:45pm kickoff, of course, and it's Leeds versus Warrington. Warrington obviously were the pretenders to the throne when they hammered St Helens to 0 the other week, but things have turned around somewhat since then with a loss to Wakefield and a squeaky kind of just about managing victory against Toronto, whereas Leeds seem to be a side on the up. Where do you think this one's going to go?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've summed it up really nicely there. I think that Leeds do seem to be a bit of a side on the up. Newman back in the centres. Gale is starting to make things tick a little bit around the pack. Warrington, on paper, look like a really good side, but they do seem to be a little bit hit and miss at the moment. I don't know whether that's trying to fit all the parts together at the moment, and it's not quite clicking, although it clearly did against us when they turned us over at their place. I think Leeds, though, at home, big crowd behind. I'm really looking forward to this game. Big crowd behind them. I think might just see them home. But I am going very close on this one. I'm saying Leeds by 2.
It's gonna be boring for the listeners, but I'm similar. I've gone Leeds by 4. I think I've given him the edge because I think the combinations are a little bit more settled than Warrington's are, and I think home field advantage as well might just see them through. So Leeds by 4 for me. Okay, on Saturday, 6pm kickoff on Sky for Toronto versus St Helens at Warrington. I mean, we'll let you go first. They're your boys. How many do you think you're winning by?
Well, I think we will win. But I think Toronto are gonna score some points. They're clearly a capable side. They like to throw the ball around. I hope mentally we've not been scarred, but are coming out stronger from the battle against the Roosters. I'm saying my boys by 2 scores, so by let's say 12 points.
Yeah, it's hard to not be drawn into thinking now Toronto are showing this competitiveness that we're all kind of liking, because you don't want a team who's at the bottom of the table to be cut adrift at the bottom of the table and not be competitive in matches. That's not what we want to see at all. Even the biggest Toronto haters probably don't want to see that every week when they turn on the television. So I do think Toronto will show some competitiveness against you, and you'll be bouncing back from a tough game last week. Saints by 14 I've got. Shit, that's very similar again, isn't it? Right, let's see if we can go different here on this one. Sunday 3pm kickoff. Hull FC against a rested up Catalan side. They've only played twice. They've played every other week so far. I don't know if that'll be a factor or not. Do you think it will be?
Well, I do think the fact that Catalan have rested, that would normally tip me towards actually tipping the team. But this is Catalan, and it's Catalan away from home. They don't travel hugely well, do they, at any time of year? I also think, whilst I'm not a huge fan of Radford as a technical coach, Hull can't afford to lose another game here. That starts to make the season look desperately difficult at an early stage. I've got to think that Hull are going to just about squeak home here against Catalan. So I'm tipping Hull by 4.
Yeah, I'm going for FC by 2, and I've thought about that fact that Catalans have had some time off. They've actually looked quite good in attack in the games they've played so far as well, with Sam Tompkins starting to look more like what we've seen in years gone by. I just think Tavita Satai coming back for Hull FC is a positive for them. It adds to that pack. It's probably going to mean one of the young players that came through the system, like, I don't know, Lane or Matonga or someone getting shunted out, which I criticised. However, Satai will come back into this side and will improve this side, and I just think that they'll have a little bit too much power in the forwards for Catalans at this stage, even though they might not have any more finesse in the in the backs than Catalans will have. I just think narrow win at home in a game that, it's starting to feel like they need to get off that sort of slide that they've started to see. They've lost to Saints and Wigan. Let's not go overboard about it for Hull FC. But Catalans are a side that they need to beat if they want to finish in that top 5, because they're a side that are competing with them for those positions.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think they will, but it's not going to be a blowout score, I don't think.
Super League's best 2 defences face off at the John Smith Stadium on Sunday at 3 o'clock. Huddersfield host Wigan. It's 1 versus 2 in the table, and it's 1 versus 2 in defences. It's my Wigan side. I'll be at this one. I'll go first shout. I think that Wigan will have to be wary of Huddersfield's kicking game close to the line. I think that's where there could be a threat. I would hope Wigan have the pace and nous to snub out that threat for the most part, and I do think Wigan will create more than Huddersfield have faced from a few of the other opponents they've come up against. So I just feel like Wigan will edge it. I've got Wigan by 8.
Yeah, I'm also going with Wigan in this one. I think Wigan are slightly more battle hardened than Huddersfield. I know it's Huddersfield's first home game of the season, but obviously that will provide a bit of a boost for them. But I think Wigan are probably just going to have a little bit too much for them, and the combinations of French and Hardaker and so on are probably just going to be a bit more than Huddersfield have got the capability to withstand. But we'll see. Again, I'm not going for a wide margin here, though. I'm saying Wigan by 4 in a very entertaining game.
And then finally, Salford host Wakefield also Sunday at 3 p.m. I'm going to go for the home side on this one, just on the fact that I don't know what Wakefield will be able to put together from a creativity point of view from the squad that they have. They're thin on numbers in those pivot positions, and so I expect Salford to be improved from last week. I really hope that Watson hasn't given his team an excuse by the way he's come out and blamed the referee. I would hope behind closed doors he's been pulling out some home truths for his own players as well about maybe some of their tackling or defensive positioning or that sort of thing, and actually will motivate them the right way rather than giving them an excuse. And even though I'm a bit annoyed about the depth of his criticism of the match official from last week, I still want to credit him, because I still think he's got credit in the bank for all the good ways he's been and all the good ways he's been after games and in pulling out things fairly. So I'm going to back Watto and Salford by 6. Yeah,
I'm boringly going exactly the same way. So I'm saying Salford as well. I think they'll just have a little bit more than Wakefield. I think they desperately need to win this game. They were a good side last year. I know they've lost a couple of 3 really important players for them. I still think they're a quality outfit coached by a quality coach, and I think they'll just have enough to get over Wakefield. But I'm expecting another tight game, and Salford by a score.
Yeah, I think the loser of this game, even after 5 rounds, will probably think they've got a real uphill task if they were going to be anywhere near the playoffs, and probably they'd need to be looking more at the bottom of the table than those playoff positions. So I think it is an important game for both sides. Into the Championship, where the game of the week we picked out is London versus Featherstone. This is 2 of the top 4 playing against each other. London need to bounce back against a disappointing loss in the Cup, and Featherstone need to show something after being held very close by a team in the division below. So both teams with points to prove in that one. And then League One game of the week, 2 of the sides that I think will be contending for those promotion places. It's Workington versus Keighley. So we'll see how that one turns out. Make sure any of those games or any other game action that you see across the world of rugby league, you get your fan views into us. Look out for the link to the Google form. Even if the fan review you want to give isn't about the match that you see the link for, it still takes you through to the same form. If you want to tell us about a game that you've seen that isn't one of the ones listed, just click other, tell us what the match was and tell us what you thought of it, and we'll talk about all of those games next week on the show. That just leaves us with a little bit of time to wrap up the show. I've got a quiz and you've got some recommendations, David, so we'll move through onto that now. Right, it's the SLP quiz for episode 250, and what I've done is I've picked out 3 players from Super League who are all one-club men. They've all played over 250 times for their sides in their careers. What I want you to do is guess guess who the players are, first of all, but then after you've guessed who the 3 players are, tell me which of those 3 players has played the closest to 250 games in their one-club Super League careers. So, first of all, first question. This hooker was Man of Steel in 2007, has both Great Britain and England honours, and a trophy cabinet that includes a World Club Challenge, 3 Grand Final wins, and 3 Challenge Cup Final wins. Who is he?
James Roby.
There you go. It's a nice, easy starter for you, that one.
Thank you. Thank you. Can we stop there?
Next up is a back row forward who, as well as playing 10 times for England, has played in 6 Grand Finals, winning 4, and played in 3 Challenge Cup Finals, winning 2. Who is he?
Still, are these players that are still playing, Mark?
Yes,
or...
all 3 are still in Super League squads in 2020, yes.
All 3 in Super League squads. Liam Farrell?
It is Liam Farrell. There you go. Wigan testimonial year, man. Finally, a centre who has played for England and lifted a League Leaders Shield in 2013, the same year that he made his one and only Super League Dream Team appearance. Who is he? Can you just give me that again? Sorry, yeah.
Mark.
It's a centre who has played for England and lifted the League Leaders Shield in 2013, which was the same year that he made his one and only Super League Dream Team appearance. Who is this centre?
Oh. Can't remember who won the bloody Super League Shield in 2013. It would help if I could, wouldn't
well,
it?
I'll give you a further clue in that this is the only honour that his team has won whilst he's been playing for his team. So that might help narrow it down a bit more.
Okay. Is that Huddersfield then? No, I don't know. You're going to have to tell me.
Very close. It's Leroy Cudjoe. You were nearly there. You'd nearly worked through it.
Cudjoe. Of course it is.
But 2 out of 3 ain't bad. And now the final one, the kicker. Which of those 3 players has played the closest to 250 games for their side? So Roby, Farrell and Cudjoe, who's played the close? They've all played more than 250. Who's played the closest to 250?
I would say Cudjoe. So I would imagine both Farrell and Roby have played significantly more.
No, it's Farrell. Farrell's actually played 251 games. Cudjoe, I haven't written it down, but off the top of my head was about 270 odd. And of course James Roby, 400 million, 400 plus.
I'm surprised Farrell's only played that many. He's had some injuries, hasn't he? And